the time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment. Make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it go away?
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to another round of the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. We're here at Autodromo Nazionale Monza, an incredible, incredible place to be. I'm going to turn the volume of the cars up a bit because everything seems very, very quiet around here tonight. But it's not going to be, because this championship, as we all know, is very, very close indeed. It's going to be a very, very hard-fought thing. And I'm excited to see who can get the job done when it comes down to the slipstream tonight. It's going to be oh so important. And some of these guys are going to be under a lot of pressure. Somebody that isn't under a lot of pressure at the moment in terms of the championship is Mark Fletcher. He leads the way with 112 points. The next best challenger he has, well, it's his namesake, but no relation. Billy Fletcher is second for Altitude Esports Fletcher. Behind him is Øystein Herfjord, just 5 points back. He's 2 points ahead of Senna Lansons and then 1 point ahead of Tom Dadswell. 2 points separate him and Hakon Grabsted. Then 3 points behind them, Callum Reed-Garton. He's got a bit more of a comfortable gap, same as Maxime van den Hove has over Hans Polmans. Lewis Ward rounds out your top 10. Frederick van Eekhoven and Loic Lamol looking to break into that top 10, but they are currently tied on points. Now, there are 2 drop races in this championship. However, they're only applied after week 5. So we will not see them until after the next race meeting. This is round 4 out of 6 in this championship, so we still have a lot to look at. And things can very, very quickly change before you know it. We're going to look at some cars, though, shall we? Out on track. This is Mark Fletcher, currently out in qualifying at the moment. Top of the standings, as things are right now. He's done a 1:49.58. He's a tenth of a second ahead of Lewis Ward, who was really exciting to watch on his debut at Zolder last time out. Apologies, not Zolder. It was... no, it was Zolder. Was it not? No, Lewis... Actually, you know what? I've been confused there. Lewis made his debut at Zolder in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, which I also broadcast and commentate on. But Lewis is racing in this championship very, very well indeed as well. He's a very quick boy. Currently third fastest is Eystein Herfjord in the T3 Virtual Motorsports by Maniti car, the gorgeous number 37 machine with that metallic green on it. We'll go on board, shall we, and see exactly how the 911-992 sounds. Well, we all know it sounds absolutely insane. Up through the gears we go then, up into sixth at just over 230 kilometers an hour down the main straight. So long down there, isn't it? Even in these cars with the speeds that they do, as hard as you like onto the brakes. Into the Rettifilio chicane. Careful on the power as you come out of there through all the shade. It's actually quite dark there on the exit, isn't it? Can't see an awful amount. Round Curva Grande. Down towards the Della Roggia chicane, the famous scene from that... Well, the place for that famous scene where Michael Schumacher overtook Mika Hakkinen in tremendous style in front of the Tifosi way back when in Formula 1. Into the Lesmos. Incredibly difficult here. The wall creeps up on you on the inside of Lesmo 1. It sort of pretends that it's a more sort of early apex than it actually is. There's Lesmo 2 running wide on the exit. You can get away with a little bit more now on the exit of Lesmo 2, as Matthew Crisp in the chat saying Autodromo Nazionale off tracks. You're very right, my friend. Very right indeed. Up the hill we go, though, into Ascari. Again, you really need to attack the opening part of this chicane. Really careful of balancing the car on the exit. Don't hit that big sausage curve on the inside. You can see tyre marks and rubber going in each and every direction on the exit where people have been flying off the road. And then down into, well, what would be Curva di Alboreto, but no. He's gone straight on there, and he's going to now try and get the run on the exit, I imagine. As, whoa, big sideways moment there by Hans Polmans as he goes round what used to be Parabolica and is now Curva di Alboreto. Did someone say Porsche? Porsche Sport in the chat. Good to see you, boys. Good to see you. Hope that's you, Mr. Holroyd. No offence to any of the other boys if it's not. I have to say that Luke is my favourite. Well, he's the only one that I know the most, really. This is Tyler Manning, the Canadian driver. Popped in for a chat last time round after Hockenheim. And he was really loving being in the championship, racing for Team Year 1. He was enjoying himself out there on track. And it was great to see. He said he doesn't mind whether he doesn't really score many points. He just wants to get out there, get some experience, learn the car. Because he's not got too much experience in it. And he wants to try and get any results he can. Out of Ascari he goes. You can see just how far you can run wide there. 15 minutes of qualifying already done, so we are going to get another 5 minutes of this session, which isn't long round here. It's nearly 2 minutes a lap. And then let's not forget that the second race of the night is determined by a reverse grid. The reverse grid draw has already been done, but I will leave that until just before the second race. Senna Lansons, it's good to see him back out tonight, although he's just pulled over to one side in the GTE Racing by Red Ant car. Hans Polman's looking to get inside the top 10. There's not many improvements going on at the moment, though. Loic Lamol is just completing his 5th sector. Ronald Moons has gone green in sector 3, but that's all he's done at the moment. This B-Sim Racing car is a good-looking thing, isn't it? Very, very good-looking thing. Out the final corner he goes, and across the line, moves over to the right. And he improves up to 14th position. He now moves ahead of this man, Frederick van Eekhoven, in the Racing Forces machine. That's another striking and wonderful livery. He's currently 15th fastest. Tom Edmonds is going to improve as well. Bad look of it in the number 12 car, just ahead of this. One of the many Altitude Esports machines out there on track. Newcomer tonight is Callum Puddicombe for Altitude Esports Fletcher. I think he's actually I think he's taken over from Billy Fletcher this season. He's in the number 6 car there, just in the middle of the Altitude Esports train. A number of improvements coming in. Look how close it is between Mathieu Soufi, Frederik van Eekhoven, and Darnberg. The three of them only separated by 13 thousandths of a second. 5 thousandths between the two Toms at Altitude Esports, Edmonds and Dadswell. Separated by 5 thousandths, as mentioned. Fletcher still fastest at the moment, though, the championship leader. Doing very, very well as wow, over the curbs goes Tom Dadswell. Really throws the car around. Senna Lansons is just coming back out on track in the number 19 car, although he's then popped over to the side. Is he going to pop that back to the pits? Or is he doing practice starts? He is. He's doing practice starts here as a 24 car. That's Bart Daleman going past him in the SimStickers Mamba machine. And you're right, Matthew Crisp. You are very right, mate. The Altitude guys are a wonderful, wonderful bunch. You know, Mark and I have been good friends for a while now, and he's the one that got me the gig with the... I nearly read out their old sponsor. The Locks for Vans Sports 2000 Championships. Mark is one of the guys that helps out for the Josh and Ash Law team in that championship. And thanks to Mark, I got one of the very first gigs of my career. And we've been friends ever since. We have raced together for a while as well. We used to race in the World GT Championship back in, I believe, Season 5 when it was GTE cars. It feels like it's been a long time since then. Mathieu Soufi jumps up to 7th position after a big improvement there. He's now within a second of the pole time. And he decides to pull it over straight away. We were just looking at Håkon Gerbstad for a moment. The Ignium Motorsport car. Both of these machines, asymmetrical liveries with some wonderful metallic sections on them. That T3 car in front is gorgeous of Eystein Herfjord. Håkon Gerbstad improves and goes up to 7th place. Now we've got 4 different teams in the top 4 at the moment. Technically 5. We've got Altitude Esports Fletcher. Then we've got Lewis Ward, who's a privateer, as the guys go straight on at turn 1. And then we've got T3 Virtual Motorsport by Maniti. Then we've got GTE Racing by Red Ant. And then Altitude Esports Tom Edmonds in 5th. We look now at Kim Behate in car 86. He's got his teammate Hendrik de Grave in car 87 just behind him. 2 of the 3 Flemish cars that are in this field for this season. As, oh, well, it was very clear there that Kim Behate, with his floating headlight lens, was being used for just slipstream there. And I imagine Hendrik de Grave, who is very fast, is going to go up the timing. He doesn't completely cross that white line, and I think I'm a little bit okay with that. Crosses the line, but it's not a valid lap by Frederik van Eekhoven. He remains 1.1 seconds off. This is Ronald Moons in the Berserk Racing car, car 76, or it was, because the session has just finished. It does finish instantly here in this format, so the guys do not get any chance to complete the current laps they're on. And here is your grid. Mark Fletcher takes pole position from Lewis Ward, a 10th of a second between the two. Eystein Herfjord is 3rd with Renzo Eulenbroek alongside him on row 2. Then it's Tom Edmonds and Tom Dadswell. It's an all-Tom row 3. Håkon Gerbstad is 7th ahead of Mathieu Soufi with Frederik van Eekhoven just behind Senna Lansons. They round out your top 10. Kim Behate and Hendrik de Grave make it a Flemish row 6. Then it's Dan Berg in the number 18 car in 13th place. He's alongside newcomer Callum Puddicombe. Hans Pullmans and Loic Lamol make it an all-Belgian row 8 with Ronald Moons lining up alongside Tyler Manning on row 9. And at the back of the grid, it's an all-Mamba 10th row of the grid with Bart Delman and Jakub Szymanski, 2 of the community leaders as such here on NEVO, or in NEVO. Those 2 will line up at the back of the grid. So there is Lewis Ward on the front row of the grid. Just in front of him, Mark Fletcher in the number 11 car. Let us know who your money is on in the chat. Let me know what you guys think Is anybody going to take this win away from Mark Fletcher? Are we going to see Lewis Ward start to really defend his title in that number 1 car, racing for Apex Racing Academy, which is something I should really update, to be honest. It's great to see Lewis getting that drive. But the lights are coming on, the revs will rise. And we are away at Monza in the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. It's a horrible start by Mark Fletcher. He can't get the car to go anywhere, so Lewis Ward has taken the lead. Renzo Eulenbroek's gone second. Dadswell third. Herfjord is now fourth, and Fletcher's going to have to start fighting back. He's right down the middle of the pack into 10th position. Is everybody going to behave themselves? It's 3 wide in the middle there where Mark is involved, and he's been hit. Been hit by one of the Flemish cars. He's still on his inside as well, and then he gets away. Behind them it's 3 wide. Hendrik de Grave, Darnberg, and Puddicombe in there. Puddicombe's in the middle of this. Is he going to back out? Darnberg moves over to the right-hand side, but just gets away with it. But Lewis Ward, he's going to be really happy with that. The start of this race going very, very well for him. Erstein Herfjord all over the back of Tom Dadswell in 4th position. Everybody managing to survive. Hans Polmans is the biggest mover so far. 4 places gained off the start for him. Fantastic, fantastic stuff by Hansy as they all run wide out of the first Lesmo. But Mark Fletcher just did not get away in that start, and now he finds himself in 12th place. He's got all 4 Flemish cars around him. I did say there was 3 of them, but there's 4. Got Mathieu Soufi, Kimber Haight, Hans Polmans and Hendrik de Grave. Mark is very much caught in amongst them all at the moment. He's under pressure as well as that. Down the inside is Hendrik de Grave. Mark falling down to 13th. It was a late move by Hendrik, but he got it done as well. There's been a car of a moment. Oh, even behind, that's newcomer Callum Puddicombe's around it. Oh, he's been smacked by... Is that Tyler Manning? It is. Tyler Manning clouts him. They nearly all avoided him there as they came out of Ascari. It looked like somebody had a moment. I think it was this man, Hakon Grebstad, in the white and blue 73 car that had his moment, and moving over on him there is Kimber Haight. They're 3 wide now as they come out of the final corner. Across the line they go. Well, they're miles away from this camera, so that doesn't work. There we go. That's more like it. Now, just don't move over on each other, boys. You do not need to move over in a straight line. Hakon needs to go to the right a little bit here to give the room, and he's not doing that. Oh, it's through the middle. Kimber Haight. Is he going to get that done? Camera jitters a little bit on the way in, but somehow losing out in all of that. There was Mathieu Soufi, and the 64 car is on now. Kimber Haight lit it up on the exit. We look through the bottom of the marshal's post, but Kim just lit it up on the exit there. And, oh, well, I think he's doing some donuts for us here. We're going to have a quick look back at the start, though, and just see exactly what happened to Mark Fletcher. Watch this. He just lit it up, and then it just didn't seem to change up a gear, did it? Fantastic start by Frederik van Eekhoven as well. He skimmed through the middle there. Look at them all trying to just dart around and find some room. That's the 19 of Senna Lansons just in front. Mark stays in the middle, and then he's got the escort from all 4 of the Flemish cars around him. Bit of argy-bargy here and there, and then he gets away with it. It's like some sort of presidential escort like I've seen here before at Monza. Renzo Eulenbroek has taken the race lead, though. And he did that, well, not too long ago, but we've had a bit more of an issue here. Callum Puddicombe has had his own problem. He's been coming back to the pits. Oh, Callum. The car is very, very broken. Kimber Haight has been off, but then Darnberg has had a problem. So there's been an accident down here. Hendrik de Grave, Ronald Moons, Mathieu Soufi all involved. Whoa, Darnberg has lost it. Oh no, Darnberg has gone flying in. And then behind, oh, that's when the contact comes. Oh, Darnberg made a big, big mess of that. Late on the brakes, chucks it down the inside, plows into Mathieu Soufi, and then he is then going to get caught up by Ronald Moons on the exit. Here's the lead battle then. Renzo Eulenbroek looking back at Lewis Ward, Tom Dadswell, Tom Edmonds, Øystein Herfjord, and Senna Lansons. Fantastic stuff. You're going to see the overlay just move about a little bit here as I sort the teams out, so bear with it. There we go. So, at the moment, it's all very, very close between this top 5. even, to be fair. Top 7, you could say. Frederik van Eekhoven in 7th place. Can see a lot of them all off in the distance. Apologies. Ed May in the chat, good to see you, mate. He's saying that Mark overheated the rears off the line and it can be a nightmare in these cars. That's perfectly understandable. I think it's a nightmare in any car on iRacing when you overheat the rears. They will never come back to you. Right in the middle of all this, though, is Dadswell and Edmonds, the two Toms, having to fight with each other. Look at the slipstream there behind Lewis Ward. It's Edmonds' route moving to the right of Dadswell. They swap positions. It's like a formation change in the Red Arrows. Mark did say to me earlier they were going to be like the Red Arrows tonight. We're already a fifth of the way through this race. 5.5 minutes gone of this 25-minute encounter. And still the top 6 all together. And the weaving begins by Renzo Willenbroek. I do not advise that. Because if anything, you're just washing off speed. So he decides to move over to the right and give Edmonds the slipstream. But look at that. Lewis Ward in the Apex Racing Academy car round the outside. Then down the inside, side by side as they come out of the first chicane. Lewis gets a decent run out of it. But how close are they all going to get here? We're going to go on the front right. Whoa, we're inside Edmonds' car there for a second. Oh, let's not do that, shall we? Whoa, I think there might have even been a little bit of a tap there as they move around down towards the De La Roggia. Hard onto the brakes. Lewis Ward goes car 1, P1, or does he? Runs a little bit deep. Renzo Willenbroek's there. They both compromise each other, and here comes Edmonds. Tom Edmonds on the right-hand side. Is he going to do them both on the exit? I think he is, and down the inside into Lesmo 1. Lewis Ward tries to carry the pace around the outside. Still side by side on the exit. Oh, he's moved across. He realises Lewis is still there. Lewis still trying to carry the pace. Amazing driving by all of them. Renzo Willenbroek now back down the inside of Lewis Ward as well. This is very, very lively stuff. You can see Lewis's car there in the rear view mirror. That's just the back of the machine. Boy, they are so close right now. And then they've got company behind them as well. And that is, well, it's Øystein Herfjord. Tom Dadswell in that as well. And Renzo Willenbroek slots into second place. But Senna Lanssen's now in a fight with Frederik van Eekhoven. I think there was a bit of a tap as they went through Ascari. Still all surviving it somehow. But this field is incredibly close together as they make their way back down. Unbelievable racing. Mark Fletcher trying to come back through in this as well. He's now going to go down the inside of Håkon Grebstad, the original pole sitter, trying to make more progress. He's got a bit of damage on the left rear of the car. There was definite contact there with Øystein Herfjord, and even more as Senna Lanssen's gives him not a single inch. That's going to go down like a cup of cold sick with Øystein, and here is the lead battle once again. Renzo Willenbroek on the right-hand side of Tom Edmonds this time. Lewis Ward tucking in behind the red number 9 car. Renzo is in front. Tom moves across. Senna Lanssen's looked like he was late on the brakes there. Øystein makes sure that he gives him absolutely zero room, but it doesn't work. And Frederik van Eekhoven, Mark Fletcher, and Håkon Grebstad have all gone through. I think the red mist is going to start to emerge here for the red car. Red mist for the red ant. As side by side again, all three of them just glued to each other on the way down to the De La Roggia chicane. Herfjord in car 37 stays in front as Senna Lanssen's gives another shoulder barge out there to Håkon Grebstad, and Hans Polmans now goes through. Håkon finds himself in 10th position. It's incredible how quickly it can change. Frederik van Eekhoven having a great race. He started 10th, he's up to 5th. We've got Alex Sevillano in the chat. He's clearly very happy about how this is going for Frederik, but wow, what brilliant racing so far. Amazing entertainment. And Renzo Willenbroek has had to work very, very hard for this so far, and we're not even halfway through the race. Let's see how long this continues. Has anybody killed their tyres in these opening stages to get to where they are now? Oh, Mark Fletcher, they're moving around behind the Racing Forces car. And Frederik van Eekhoven gives him a bit of a kiss. He's later on the brakes, is Mark. Now let's see what sort of run he can get out of here. We'll watch the speed build up. Changing up at 150 Ks. There's 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230. Now this is where the acceleration dies off a little bit. I say that, we've just hit 250 Ks. 6th gear, pulling out to the right-hand side. And for the lead, Edmonds having a look down the inside of Renzo Eulenbroek, but not doing it this time. Fletcher down the inside, back up into P5. Further down the order, we do have other battles going on. Look at them all right behind Hendrik de Grave right now. The two of them are only separated by 0.4 of a second across the line. It's still very close. But this lead battle is absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely fascinating. You love to see it. As you can see, the cars just wiggling around all over the place on the exit. Hans Polman's there and Håkon Grebstad right together as they go into Lesmo 1. I think there may have been the slightest of touches there as they went through. This is fantastic entertainment as ever, though, from the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Of course, if you are, don't forget you can like the video and, of course, subscribe as well if you want to see more broadcasts from yours truly. I do this as a one-man broadcast, so I hope that what I managed to put together as a one-man band is good enough, and I hope you all enjoy it, because I certainly do. Yet more weaving from Renzo Eulenbroek. And he's actually starting to open up a bit of a gap right now, isn't he? You can see all the way down to 12th position down this straight. Even 13th there, Bart Delman. He started 19th on the grid. He's made his way up 6 positions to get to where he is now. He's got Ronald Moons, Matthew Sufi, Kimber Haight, Dan Berg, and then Callum Puddicombe behind him. Tyler Manning still running as well, actually, in the back. No, Craig Schill's not here, actually, Ed. Sorry. Look at this top 5. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Mark Fletcher, they're recovering to 5th place. He'll be happy with the progress he's made back through the order so far, but he'll obviously be very frustrated that he isn't the man at the very front of the field. This is Eystein Herfjord all over the back of Frederick van Eekhoven. Now, during this race, Eystein has lost 4 places. Frederick has gained 4 places. Renzo Eulenbroek just ran very wide on the first of the 2 Lesmos. I can tell you that for free. Love the sound of these cars screaming up through the gears. You can hear the gearbox whining away like mad. Huge clunks on the downshifts as well. Really metallic sound as they rattle their way through the gears. Bouncing around over the curbs. Not quite as bouncy as the old cars, I'm quite confident in saying. I think the 991 was a lot more bouncy as now. Mark Fletcher moves up into 4th position. He's got 2 of his teammates in front of him, Tom and Tom. Dadswell and Edmonds if you go from back to front. But Renzo Eulenbroek continues to lead this race. Still. But look at this now. Edmonds making an attack. He's going to move past on the right-hand side. And very close as he pulls over to the left, tries to open up the first chicane as much as he can as he gets into the braking zone. Nice and tidy on the exit, and he is now in front. Listen to that short shift as well by Renzo Eulenbroek. He went up to 2nd gear very early there to minimise any wheel spin. Make sure that he got the low RPM traction down. It's fantastic this though, isn't it? The top 8 separated by just 3.1 seconds after nearly 14 minutes of racing. Look at it. It's like a Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup race. They're all just so close together. I mean, the top 10 is only 6 seconds. That's incredible in itself. But in the middle of it all at the moment, well, it's a great camera view. Mark Fletcher trying to stick with his teammates now and trying to make further progress as they go once again under the bridge towards Ascari. Hard onto the brakes. You can see them all concertina up. It's the accordion effect, as we call it. It's great to see Lewis Ward still right up there as well, but look, you can just see he's lost a couple of car lengths on the guys ahead. And now Edmonds feeling the need to defend down the inside. You could see him at the front of the pack there, sticking the car to the inside where Renzo Eulenbroek was forced to go the long way round. Lewis really rotating the car on the brakes there. Really helping to get that nose turned in. And the slipstreaming begins again. Now, that's what I don't agree with. Renzo all the way over that white line on the right there. I think that white line should really determine the track limits, and you shouldn't go that far over it. A little bit of a tap on the way through as Lewis Ward loses places to Eystein Herfjord. He lost a bit of ground to Mark Fletcher as well there, actually. What happened? Oh, there was a big check-up. Whoa, more of a hit than I thought, actually. I thought it was just a tiny tap between the two, but no, a much bigger one indeed. Now, side by side with Senna Lansons, one of the drivers right up there in the championship, but not right up there in this race. As whoa, he's right up there in the gravel, I can tell you that. Ride Cowboy through there, very, very feisty. Manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction, though. But back with this, Renzo Eulenbroek still finds himself at the front of the field. But what's he going to be able to do about holding on? Because we all know that the slipstream doesn't just keep these cars together here at Monza. It makes it very easy to overtake, but right now it's a Altitude Esports trio chasing down this poor individual GTE Racing by Red Ant car. Where does he put the car? That's the main question. He's got Dadswell now leading the queue from Edmonds and Fletcher, team boss. Mark in a good position actually here to watch what his drivers can do, to be quite honest with you. He's in quite the box seat, isn't he? He can now try and coordinate this attack from where he sits. Callum Puddicombe has been in the pits for quite a while, unfortunately, and Tyler Manning had another accident recently as Tom Dadswell goes down the inside for the lead now, but that's going to be the outside for the second part of the chicane, so watch out for Edmonds getting the better of his teammate here. Doesn't quite get the run on the exit that he would have wanted. But fantastic fighting here from the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. I'm really, really enjoying this. Good fun. Dadswell now on the right-hand side of Eulenbroek. That's going to be the outside for the first part of the chicane, but of course the inside for the second part. That's if he manages to keep it around the outside. You don't want to go side by side through there because it's such a compromising line. You can really harm your own run, and Dadswell has really hurt his own run there as well. Slots back in just in front of Fletcher. And now if they do keep swapping places enough, then this following quartet of Ward, Lansons, Herfjord and Van Eekhoven, they'll be able to carry on chasing and closing them down. We'll go on board with Van Eekhoven just to see whereabouts he is from here. It looks like he's very far away. But you can see the race leader just about in the background. Pushing hard indeed, though, is Frederick. Senna Lanson's getting ahead of Lewis Ward there. Senna's on the right-hand side in the red and black car. Lewis may be thinking, after you, I'll use your slipstream. Let's go chasing that top quartet because they need to try and work together here with 6.5 minutes of the race left to go. This is going to be about teamwork with these guys. Van Eekhoven just not able to quite stay on the pace with these guys, and it's dropped him out of the slipstreaming range as Senna Lansons does his fastest lap of the race, a 151.160. That was quicker than everybody else in front of him on that lap by about half a second. The next fastest time by anybody else on that lap, well, it was Eystein Herfjord, the car just in front there, the number 37, he did a 151.6. So absolutely flying right now is the 19 of Senna Lansons. His teammates still holding on at the front, but it's a triple-decker Altitude Esports sandwich right now with GTE Racing flavoured bread. Or red. Awful. But look, like I mentioned, this top 8 battle has all of a sudden become one. They all end up on each other's coattails. And the whole group is separated by 2.5 seconds. Frederik van Eekhoven still with the best view of all of this. He can see every single car right now. Knowing that you're only 2.5 seconds off the lead, but you're in 8th place, must be very frustrating. But the slipstreaming train is going to begin. Now I want to ride on board. We're going to move forward 2 cars in the queue here and go on board with Lewis Ward and just see how he sees all of this. The reigning champion, car number 1, started 2nd on the grid and has lost 4 places. Eystein Herfjord started 3rd as well, and he's also lost 4 places, so a bunch of them together not having the best race of it. At the front though, Tom Edmonds is having a go at Renzo Eulenbroek. The two of them side by side on the exit. Renzo Eulenbroek using the edge of the circuit and some more at Curva di Alboreto. Whoa, moves over to the right, but you can argue that Edmonds didn't need to come over to the left. He's still coming over to the left. You don't need to do it, sunshine. Dadswell pushing him along. Fletcher on the right. Moves in front of Renzo just before they break, though. Nearly dangerous as Lansons has gone very, very late on the brakes. Dadswell checks him up on the exit. Lewis Ward now moves in front. Now, how's this going to all work out? Because Lewis Ward is going to be on the outside. He's going to have to slot back in. I think Lewis has got damage on that car, and it's not quite working how he wanted it to. Fantastic scrapping, though, by all of these guys. And touch wood when I say this, but it remains clean as Lansons gets... Sorry, Eulenbroek gets a mega run out of the De La Rosier chicane, but it doesn't work. Edmonds slots back in front. It's become a trio and a quintet right now rather than 2 quartets. Edmonds just holding on to the race lead. Look at this, though. He's really trying to break that slipstream, but he's making himself do a longer line as they go down towards Ascari once more, moving back over in front. He needs to be careful of doing that because he's starting to do it closer to the braking zones. Now, I can't imagine that Renzo Eulenbroek will be too impressed with that. I know as a driver I most certainly wouldn't be. Fantastic noise, fantastic sight, but look, he's doing it again. He's breaking out of the slipstream, then moving over. If anything, he's probably going to compromise his own car's momentum as he gets to the corner, you know, because he's throwing it one way, then the other, and then having to try and chuck it in again. Down the straight once more. 22.5 minutes of this race done, so only 2 more laps to go. And we are having great fun at Monza. It's deja vu here because there's 2 GTE Racing Red Ant cars moving to the left of Altitude cars. Is Lansons down the inside of Dadswell. Oh, Lansons doesn't like giving room on an apex, or an exit I should say. But now it's alternating. It's Altitude, GTE, Altitude, GTE, Altitude. And then Lewis Ward ruining the symmetry in 6th place with his Apex Racing Academy car. But he is, well, quite literally on the front row at the gig right now. Crowd centre. As Lansons again, look at that, runs wide on the first part of the chicane, cuts Dadswell's nose off. Dadswell goes defensive on the way down to the Lesmo. Lewis Ward backs out of it. He's saying, look, we need to move forward. Hakon Grebstad has had an issue. Hans Polmans has gone past him. Oh, no. Hansi loses it. And then hits Hakon. And I don't think Hans has waited for him after that. No, he's carried on. But he stopped to sort of prove the point that he was willing to wait, but then I think the call for championship points kicked in. Right then, we'll still stay with this. Tom Edmonds leading this race right now from Renzo Eulenbroek, Mark Fletcher 3rd, Senna Lansons 4th, Tom Dadswell 5th, and it's Lewis Ward, Eystein Herfjord, Frederik van Eekhoven, Hans Polmans and Hendrik de Grave rounding out your top 10. There's going to be 1 more lap to go after this one, and I can bet you any money that you like that Renzo Eulenbroek is going to do his best to keep Mark Fletcher behind now, rather than trying to overtake Tom Edmonds. You want to be the last car. Well, you don't want to be the car in the lead of the race. Oh, it's too far over, boys. You shouldn't be over that white line. You don't want to be the car leading coming onto the final lap, because you are the one that will get slipstreamed. I think it's going to be oh so important down towards Curva di Alboreto for the final time, as round the outside goes Renzo Eulenbroek on this last lap, door to door with Tom Edmonds quite literally making contact on the exit. Mark Fletcher's now like, right, I've seen what you've done to my teammate. I'm going to go forward and I'm going to come and have a go. Side by side they go, though. Cars 11 and 12. The two teammates very close to making contact as they go round Curva Grande. Both of them just slotting in behind Renzo right now. Senna Lansons has dropped to 5th place as Tom Dadswell has got the better of him. Lewis Ward still waiting there patiently in 6th. The timer hit 0 and it's still Renzo Eulenbroek at the front, and still we have the top 8 separated by 3.9 seconds. Phenomenal racing already here at Monza this evening. Can't wait to see what the second race does with a reverse grid on offer as well. Look, Renzo really breaking the slipstream. He's realised now, he's like, oh, stuff it, I'm the car at the front of this train. I don't want to be here right now. And you can bet that Edmonds is going to focus everything he's got on this run. It's all down to the run out of Ascari. Doesn't look like he's got that much of a run, though, to be honest with you. Renzo's going to start weaving around. Tom's going to smooth out his response to the weaving. Is he going to be able to do anything? He's got quite a bit of a slingshot coming his way if he stays this far behind Renzo out the final corner. But Eulenbroek, at least for now, leads them to the line, and I think he's going to get it done. It's going to be the first line that they cross. Renzo Eulenbroek wins at Monza. First race of the night goes his way from Tom Edmonds, Mark Fletcher, Tom Dadswell, Senna Lansons, Lewis Ward, Eystein Herfjord and Frederick van Eekhoven. Phenomenal racing by all of them. Hans Polmans and his teammate Hendrik de Grave across the line. Well, tiny gap between the two of them. They complete your top 10 ahead of Loic Lamol, Hakon Grebstad, Bart Delman, Ronald Moons and Kimber Haight have just swapped round right at the flag. Oh, Ronald disappears. Is Kim going to get back in front? Oh, it's close. Very close. As they cross the line, barely anything in it. Renzo Eulenbroek has already pulled the car over, and he has decided that he is done for this race. But wow, that was very, very lively indeed, was it not? Fantastic fun from the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. And we'll just wait for the final cars to cross the line. I think Dan Berg is going to be the last car to take the flag in the number 18 Team Year 1 entry. Let us know who you thought your driver of the race was in that one there, though, because so many of the guys put in fantastic performances and had to keep it really clean. Very, very clean indeed. I'm not too much of a fan of them going that far over the white line on the right. We'll go on board with Dan Berg and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Wow, look at that username in chat. Wow. That is the... Wow, that's the most offensive one I've seen. It distracted me from showing you the white line that I meant. Right then, let's have a look at the race results then. See how it was classified in the end. Yeah, Peter's not here. Sorry, girls. Renzo Eulenbroek wins the race by just under 0.2 of a second from Tom Edmonds and Mark Fletcher, with Tom Dadswell making it 3 altitude cars in the top 4. 0.7 of a second cover the top 4. Senna Lansons finishes 5th. That's 2 GTE Racing by Red Ant cars in the top 5. Lewis Ward, after an incredible battle all race long and so much hard work, finishes 6th ahead of Eystein Herfjord. Frederick van Eekhoven was right there the whole time. Hans Polmans and Hendrik de Grave, as we saw, rounding out the top 10. Loic Lamol finishes 11th ahead of Hakon Grebstad, with Bart Delman next up. Then it's Kimber Haight in 14th. Ronald Moons 15th, just behind him, only 0.9 of a second between them across the line. Matthew Sufi finishes 16th ahead of Dan Berg in 17th. Tyler Manning was 1 lap down, and then the drivers that we did not get completing the race. Callum Puddicombe on his debut, and Jakub Szymanski, unfortunately, not able to start in that one. Well, poor Burnley says. Yes, Burnley is a place which you could call quite the... Oh, well, that came out very early. I was going to say, Burnley is a real hole, isn't it? I don't like playing with that because sometimes it delays it and other times it doesn't. Right then, the guys are clearly doing their practice starts. Callum Puddicombe getting used to it. It's always good to see a newcomer to the championship, though. This is just a very quick warm-up session. while the guys get used to the current conditions, if some of them choose to go back out there on the road. But if you just bear with me, everybody, I'm just going to take a quick break here, just get another drink, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here for the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. I've only just cooled down from that first race. What a fantastic, fantastic first one that was, eh? That was incredibly close all the way through. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. So, just to give you a quick update, in the chat, Hans Polmans has apologised profusely to Hakon Grebstad for the tap. He's basically said, on the positive side, we all made it through turn 1, lap 1. Loic Lemol and Hendrik de Grave had a fantastic fight. They were really, really enjoying themselves, but Loic Lemol said it was very hard to keep the tyres in a good window and not spin them up. But not a massive amount of chat going on as of right now. There's only 7 minutes of this warm-up session, though, so there's only 1 more minute left to go, and then, well, that'll be that. And then we will all be ready to go. Mark Fletcher is out there getting the laps in. He's just turning lap after lap after lap. It's not quite a practice start, which it seems like is what's more necessary for him after that horrible first start. But I know that he will be doing everything in his power to move forward. Azul, there you go, lights it up on the exit of Ascari and puts her backwards into the wall. Frederik van Eekhoven is now coming into Ascari as well. And he doesn't spin the car. See, look there. There you go, Mark. That's how it's done. Great looking car, this Racing Forces machine, though, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just having to respond to something on here. There we go. Sorry about that. Right then. Session finishes and we get our reverse grid. So it's going to be a 12-car reverse grid for this race, which means Håkon Grebstad is going to be on pole position. He's going to have Loic Lamal alongside him, who was battling with Hendrik de Grave all the way through that first race. Hans Polmans is next up in 4th, with Frederik van Eekhoven and Eystein Herfjord next up. Then it's Lewis Ward and Senna Lansens. Tom Dadswell and Mark Fletcher round out the 10. Tom Edmonds and Renzo Eulenbroek make up row 6, ahead of Bart Daleman and Kim Behet. Then it's Ronald Moons and Matthew Sufi, Berserk Racing alongside Flemish Simsports. Dan Berg and his teammate Tyler Manning make up row 9. Next up is Callum Puddicombe in 19th place, and we're hoping to see Jakub Szymanski on the grid for this race. You can hear the revs building as the blimp slowly makes its way around. It doesn't look like we're going to get Jakub Szymanski, unfortunately. So, for the second time tonight then, at Autodromo Nazionale Monza, the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series is underway. The lights go green and it's a big wiggle and a wobble by Frederik van Eekhoven in the middle of the grid. Sounds like there was a bit of contact somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that might have been. But great start by Håkon Grebstad, nice and tidy. Let's see what the guys behind him can do. Hendrik de Grave is on the outside there, turning across his teammate. Lewis Ward is side by side with van Eekhoven. Oh, and there's a contact, big contact. Herfjord's around in front of the field, and oh, he's been collected. Who was that? I think that was Matthew Sufi in the 64 car that got into him, and he's stationary on the exit of the chicane. That's really shaking it up. Mark Fletcher's lost a lot of time. Mark Fletcher has dropped down to 17th position. He's had another nightmare start here. But everybody now fighting and fighting. Kim Behet right behind Lewis Ward, trying to have a go. Mark Fletcher lost a bucket load of time, though, in the opening section there, and he's now got his teammate Callum Puddicombe having a moment. We'll keep our eye on Mark and see if there's any damage on the car. It'd be good if we actually looked at it, wouldn't it? Looked like the front right had a bit of a hit on it. But the race is very much underway. Another 25-minute race here in this championship. It's a good thing. Mark's got a big championship lead, isn't it? We'll have another look at it then and see exactly how that all came about. So here is Eystein. He's got into the back of the 25 car, and then it checks up, and van Eekhoven really can't do anything there, to be honest with you. Mark goes off the road, and oh, Callum gets into him as well. And Mark loses all of his time trying to get back on the track, as Frederik van Eekhoven has had a moment. Whoa, behind him, Callum Puddicombe. Oh, for the second time tonight, Callum's had a big drama at Ascari. This time it was his accident, not somebody else's, that he got involved in. Let's have a look what happened to Frederik van Eekhoven. Whoa, my life. Wow. He does hit the barrier, but only just kisses it. Doesn't lose a massive amount of time there, to be honest. Right then. Let's have a look. After lap 1, Håkon Grebstad, Senna Lansens, Loic Lamal, Hans Polmans, Hendrik de Grave, Tom Dadswell, Renzo Eulenbroek, Lewis Ward, Kim Behet, Matthew Sufi. That's your top 10. Senna Lansens and Loic Lamal fighting together. Look at that by Renzo down the inside. Oh, he's done it too late. He's absolutely ploughed into the side of Hendrik de Grave. Dadswell goes across the chicane. Oh, it was very, very messy by Renzo Eulenbroek. Very, very messy indeed. Oh, Hendrik was just minding his own business and then gets absolutely railed. Well, let's have a look with Renzo. So he goes down the inside of Dadswell. Oh, that's... Well, I don't know. He probably could have got that stop, but just goes way too hot into there. That was very, very scrappy indeed, and I can imagine there won't be too many people in the paddock that are a fan of that manoeuvre. He tried his best to get it stopped, though, but it was just like we saw in the earlier race. Just takes that tiny little moment where you overdo it. Dan Berg did it into the second chicane, and that was that. But Håkon Grebstad for Ignium Motorsport leads the race at the moment. The number 73 Norwegian driver. One of 2 Norwegians in the field. Him and Eystein Herfjord. He's got Senna Lansens behind him, though. We know how fast Senna is. Senna can be an absolute star at points, can't he? Renzo Eulenbroek throwing it down the inside again. It seems like the contact has definitely not slowed him down. And now he's got Loic Lamol and Lewis Ward behind him. Lewis, of course, one of the guys to really watch here. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody picks up any little bits of damage that just affect their straight line speed over the course of this race. Obviously, it's not long enough for pit stops, so they don't need to worry about saving fuel in the slipstream of others. As down the inside, Lewis Ward goes, gains a place on Loic Lamol, and it looks like he just clears off into the distance on the exit of the chicane, doesn't it? But the car he's chasing is right there. Renzo Eulenbroek chasing down Hans Polmans for third position. Hansy's going to want to defend this as best he can. And he's going to want to try and hold him up at least. For the guys ahead, all four wheels pretty much come off the ground there for a second. We don't quite have the train that we had in the first race, do we? As Dadswell looking down the inside of Mathieu Soufi. Soufi got involved in some of the contact early on in the race, but managed to survive it. There you see the gaps on your left-hand side now as the field spreads out. Eystein Hurfjord and Callum Puddicombe both out of the race in the very early stages here. Already 5 minutes gone. These opening 5 minutes really do fly by. As now Tom Dadswell moves up into 9th place. Where's Mark Fletcher in all of this? 14th at the moment behind Frederik van Eekhoven, the guy that made contact with Eystein at the very start of the race. It's side by side for the lead, actually. I didn't see that Senna Lansons had caught up so suddenly to the back of Håkon Grebstad, and he takes the race lead with that one. So the GTE Racing by Red Ant driver finds himself back at the front of the pack. He's been one of the favourites for the championship from the very start. But again, all the way over that white line on the right. It must have been detailed in the driver's briefing beforehand that these guys were all right to do that. It's very close for fastest lap of the race between Tom and Tom. Edmonds taking it. Sorry, Dadswell taking it over Edmonds. Eulenbroek now up to 3rd place. So both of the GTE Red Ant racing cars are on the podium. We have this fantastic train of machines. We can go even further back than this, actually. Tom Edmonds has got Behayet right in front of him, then Loic Lamol. As they go through all the greenery here at Monza. Then Hans Polmans, then Lewis Ward, then Renzo Eulenbroek. It's another train like we had in the first race, actually. It's just not for the lead this time, but there's 6 of them. Nearly 7 as Håkon Grebstad has gone back for the lead on Senna Lansons. I think Senna's had a slowdown. Let's have a look. Ah, yeah, that's definitely a slowdown over the first part of the chicane. And he slows down to the right. And it means that Håkon Grebstad can now take the lead. And he's actually got a gap with it as well. 1.4 seconds clear. And now the guys behind are surely going to start fighting. This has become an even bigger train, with the 2 Red Ant machines at the very front of it. Bart Daleman continues to move forward here. He's trying to overtake Mathieu Soufi for P10. He's going to go around the outside on the way into Ascari. That doesn't work. They compromise each other, and around goes Mathieu Soufi. Somehow Ronald Moons doesn't clip him. And somehow Mark Fletcher, whoa, who has a big old moment, doesn't clip him either. Now, did Mathieu Soufi actually get contact there? No, we're looking at the wrong car here, Chaz. So Bart's there somewhere. We might morph into the car, so please excuse it if we do. I'm not sure there was contact between the two. Ah, yeah, there was. Just the tiniest bit, a little bit of netcode. You could see the distance between the two cars there, but you could see how suddenly Mathieu Soufi's car went around. Edmonds now getting in front of Kim Behayet. Edmonds trying to move forward as quickly as possible to get back on terms with the guys ahead. This is Hendrik de Grave side by side with Tyler Manning, the Canadian down the inside. Hendrik turns in a little bit early, tries to squeeze him away to the apex, gets the run on the exit. More contact, wheel-to-wheel stuff as they come out of the initial Rettifilio chicane, the start of the lap. Still side by side. Oh, just slotting in behind there is Hendrik de Grave. Goes down the inside into the De La Roggia, tries to put the pressure on, and he has, and it's worked, and he's gone straight over the chicane. Big bounce and a wiggle, and Tyler Manning, unfortunately, has lost the mind games there very much to Hendrik de Grave. 8.5 minutes of this race gone then. Senna Lansens is now down to third after his teammate has gone in front. Fifth place at the back of this train is Hans Polmans. He started fourth on the grid, but he's done a great job to stay where he is up to this point. Hansy's still pushing very hard indeed. And he can smell championship points from this one. We're not even at the halfway point yet, though. Let's remember that. We've seen how much can change in these races. Tom Dadswell there, down the inside of Kimber Haight. He's trying to follow his teammate Tom Edmonds. The two of them seemingly stuck together for the whole race meeting so far in the Altitude Esports cars. More and more changing through the field as Renzo Eulenbroek has managed to get the race lead here already on Håkon Grebstad. Incredible progress forward for the GTE racing driver. Seemingly two different liveries on their cars though by the look of it. The logos are different sizes on his and Senna Lanssen's cars. Not quite sure what that's all about. But still, they've both been doing a mega job so far this season. Two of the most exciting drivers to watch for sure. Dadswell and Behait still glued to each other as the camera exposure sorts itself out on the way into the De La Roggia. Kim Behait not able to do anything there. Now I do want to go on board with Lewis Ward here and see whereabouts he is in all of this, because he's glued to the back of the guys in front. Wondering whether he's going to be in striking distance very, very soon. He's going to be using the slipstream. He's going to be biding his time. It looks to me like he's getting a little bit of aero wash, it almost looks like, from these guys. Doesn't look like the car is behaving itself around a number of the corners. And he lost a little bit of time to them all there. Tom Edmonds is now past Loic Lamol for 6th position. You can bet that Tom Dadswell's going to want to follow him along, isn't he? Håkon Grebstad now really under pressure from Renzo Eulenbroek. He goes to the inside on the right. Eulenbroek goes to the left. And he's later on the brakes, and he's going to go around the outside, which will become the inside. Now, what can Lewis Ward do about having an attack now? Hans Polman's still waiting in the wings as well. Great to see all of this. So much fighting going on. So many great battles. Wonderful entertainment, isn't it, on a Tuesday night? Our Tuesday nights have been fantastic so far this year. I've had the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, and then I've had the NEVO European Porsche Cup Series. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful time to work on a Tuesday as Lewis Ward runs wide over the grass. Loic Lamol is now under pressure from Kimber Haight, and just as expected, Tom Dadswell has cleared Loic. But the B Sim Racing driver, he's holding on well, isn't he? Started second on the grid. And hasn't really sunk like a stone, to be honest. It's been 12.5 minutes of racing, and he's still inside the top 10. Just on the outer fringes of the top 10 is Mark Fletcher, holding on to 10th place ahead of Ronald Moons and Frederick van Eekhoven, the Racing Forces driver, losing 7 places from where he started. Obviously caught up in some of the earlier kerfuffles. But right now, it's a GTE Racing by Red Ant 1-2 at the moment. These two doing everything right so far, other than maybe the big send at the first chicane by Renzo earlier. I'd be a bit worried that, for his sake, that he might lose some positions due to maybe some sort of penalty for that. Because it was a scary, scary moment, wasn't it? As into the chicane again we go. Lewis Ward there down the inside of Håkon Grebstad for 3rd. Stick with the leader though, just to keep our eye on how the car behaves, if anything, because it's certainly not been the most well-behaved car, has it, at certain points? Doing a good job, though, at the moment is Renzo. You have to say he's gained 11 places from where he started. He won the first race. So he's had to come through very, very quickly in this one to make it up to where he is now. Just had to reload the timing tower there. You might have to see it reload again in a minute. I'm just sorting out a slight issue I might have here, but it shouldn't be anything that will affect the stream. So apologies for it having to move around a bit. But hopefully it'll all get sorted. So Lewis Ward now into third place. He's going to start challenging Senna Lansons. And he's looking racy at this point. We're just about to hit 15 minutes of this race done, so most of the way through. It's gone very, very quickly so far, hasn't it? But this is the thing, these races do fly by because so much can happen in them so quickly. It's very, very enjoyable to broadcast it for the guys. Hope you're all enjoying it as well, obviously. As down the inside there, that was a move from Edmonds into turn 1 on Hans Polmans. Lovely, lovely stuff by Edmonds as he goes down the inside. Mark Fletcher and Frederick Van Eekhoven have both been shown as off the road. As, whoa, Bart Daleman's around. Bart Daleman's had an incident. Not quite sure what's caused that. Has he done it himself or has he had contact? I think he's just going to light up the rears on exit. Yeah, the car's unsettled on the curb. He gets on the power and he tries to 360 it on the exit, which unfortunately doesn't quite work. So this is your second place man, Senna Lansons. To be honest, doing all he needs to do right now. Doesn't need to really do much more than what he's doing. He's just keeping it nice and straightforward and running his own race. You know, you don't need to overdo it. It's so easy to overdo it in cars like this. Out of Curva di Alboreto once more. I think the problems are all sorted now, by the way. I just had to quickly refresh something and I've got it sorted, so apologies for that. There was just a bit of conflicting data in the timing on my screen anyway, and it wasn't quite showing properly on there. Edmonds does the fastest lap of the race. Lovely stuff by Tom Edmonds. And he's now onto the back of this train. So this 5-car train is really glued together with a handful of laps to go here at Monza. Let us know in the chat, who do you think is going to take this one? Who's your money on, everybody? What do you reckon we're going to see in these final couple of laps? It's nearly 2 minutes a lap here, about 1 minute 50s we're seeing. Fastest lap of the race is a 150.2. Everyone really in the 151s and 152s anyway. So the slipstream making a big difference there for Tom Edmonds. You can see at the bottom there that his best was his last. He's gained 6 places so far in this race. As we ride on board with this wonderful sounding Porsche 911 992 GT3 Cup car. Down the revs they go, and look how much he closes up there. There really is an accordion effect into Ascari because of the fact that these cars, they don't follow too well sometimes, so you have to be very careful when you're in the slipstream of another car. And I have to say, regardless of Renzo's earlier mishap and the mistake late on the brakes, it's been a great drive from him. With the whack that car took at the front as well, he's continued to hold the race lead, and his teammate can't quite do enough about him. Håkon Grebstad is in a very, very tight sandwich right now. Lewis Ward in front, Tom Edmonds behind. There's a bit of a stalemate going on here in this race. Behind them we've got an Altitude esports machine of Tom Edmonds, and then alternating is Flemish, Altitude Flemish. Loic Lamol and Mark Fletcher round out your top 10. Lewis Ward feels the need to go down the inside line there, just to maybe poke his nose down the inside of Senna Lansons, but also defend from Håkon Grebstad behind, just to sort of deter him from going for that line. But again, this little train is certainly at a bit of a stalemate. It's going to be a case of who blinks first, I think, here. Looks like Tom Edmonds has actually lost quite a bit of time, though, in the opening sector because of how it checked up. Didn't look like that car was at full chat for a second there, did it? It's 1.6 seconds now to Håkon Grebstad ahead of him. He's now trying to get back with Lewis Ward. Darnberg and Hendrik de Grave have swapped around. Hendrik de Grave going off the road and back on again, though, as he has a moment at the Lesmos, I believe. Now look at the slipstream working here for Håkon Grebstad. Is he going to just stay behind Lewis Ward in these latter stages and then go for it in the final couple of laps? We should have 3 laps to go now. 4.5 minutes of this race. So the lap that we're just starting, and then 2 more after this, I reckon. It's very, very close though, isn't it? Very close. Is Håkon going to go for a move? Well, he's lining it up to go later on the brakes and then be on the outside for the chicane, and he's going to do it. He's going to try it on Lewis Ward. Lewis needs to give all the room in the world. Håkon gives him plenty of space on the exit. But look, all of a sudden, the top 2 cars have got away. Lewis will be seething in the cockpit of that car. He'll be shouting to him in the rearview mirror saying, we need to work together, we need to go forward. We need to chase those pesky red anthill things. Go after the anthill. It's been a very impressive drive by them both, honestly. It's been great. Håkon Grebstad, though, he's really piling that pressure onto Lewis Ward right now. He's not giving him any rest whatsoever. He's going to try it at Ascari, is he? No, he's on the outside on the way in. Doesn't quite get the car turned in how he would have wanted. And look at that now. The gap is 1.1 seconds from Lewis Ward to Senna Lansons. Or vice versa. Lansons now with a big advantage. And Lewis and Håkon still fighting. Håkon clearly wanting that final podium spot. It's looking nice from where the Red Ant boys are right now. Cars 9 and 19, first and second in the race. Now, are we going to see a battle between these two, or is Senna going to back out? Yeah, look, he's just back. Oh, well, no. Bit of a bump draft down the straight. Oh, these cars sound so good at slow speed when the revs really drop. 2.5 minutes left of this race, so we will get 1 more lap after this. Tom Edmonds is now suddenly back in this battle, as Tom Dadswell in the background has got past Hans Polmans. Further back, Kimber Haight is just ahead of Loic Lamol, Mark Fletcher, Frederick Van Eekhoven and Ronald Moons in this sort of 5-car train. Again, cars just a little bit twitchy on the exit of that chicane, aren't they? Great watching them just bounce and hop and skip over the curbs though, isn't it? Really, really enjoy it. Renzo Eulenbroek has only one more tour of the track to do. And now Lewis Ward is starting to close in on them a little bit. It's 9/10 of a second, whereas last time round it was 1.3 as they crossed the line. And he's 1.1 off Renzo Eulenbroek now. But still feels the need to go to the right-hand side. Hakon still tries to go around him into the chicane. Kissing wing mirrors on the way in. Now what's Tom Edmonds going to do about this? Because can he get a run on either of them? Shame to see we've not had Jakub Szymanski out there on track tonight, mate. Hope your brother's okay. I did see the message earlier, sorry. I forgot to reply in the chat. I really hope he's alright though, mate, and hope you are too. Let's look at this. Now suddenly Tom Edmonds takes the pressure away from Lewis Ward by having a go at Hakon Grebstad himself. It's not a podium position he's fighting for, but he just wants a position as wow, over the curb. Wow. Tom Edmonds, let's get a shot of that again. Oh, it's miles afterwards. Oh, stuff it. Sorry, Tom. But absolutely flinging the car into the air. That was brilliant to watch. Brilliant. I'm pretty confident that all four wheels came off the ground for a second there. There's a good fight, actually, further back, you know, between Hendrik de Grave and Bart Daleman. As Hendrik catches him up very quickly on the exit of the chicane. Hendrik having his own dramas this evening, trying to make up for that and gain some time back. But there's only a matter of corners to go. Now, being realistic, not 100% sure the win will stand after the issue earlier and after the big send and the outbraking manoeuvre. But regardless of that, what a fantastic night it has been to be Renzo Eulenbroek. What an amazing drive in the first race. What an amazing drive in the second race. It's a 1-2 for GTE Racing by Red Ant across the line. Eulenbroek wins from Lanterns. Lewis Ward gets a podium with Hakon Grebstad. Tom Edmonds dropped down a lot on the final lap. Dadswell 6th, 7th is Pullmans, 8th is Fletcher, 9th Kimberhait, and 10th is Loic Lamol. Frederick Van Eekhoven finished just behind them. In 11th place, Ronald Moons was 12th. Matthew Sufi is going to be in 13th position. He's 4 seconds clear of Tyler Manning, who's just about to cross the line in the background there. And side by side across the line between Hendrik de Grave and Bart Daleman. Bart just losing out there across the line, I think. Dan Berg is the last of the finishers. Renzo Eulenbroek and Senna Lansons, well, they do not hang about after these races. They are gone. They have pulled the car over to one side and called it that. There's your podium finisher, Lewis Ward, though, just behind the graphics now, as Renzo Eulenbroek is classified as race winner. Less than 1/10 of a second, though, back to Senna Lansons. Lewis Ward rounding out your podium after another hard-fought race. Hakon Grebstad, he was right up there all the way through this one, wasn't he? As he finishes in 4th position. Next up was Tom Edmonds in 5th, again glued together with Tom Dadswell, 5th and 6th, those two. Hans Pullmans is 7th ahead of Mark Fletcher. He's had a very, very poor night as Mark. He'll be wanting more from the 5th round of the championship. Kimberhait finishes in 9th ahead of Loic Lamol in 10th. Then it's Frederick Van Eekhoven and Ronald Moons 11th and 12th. Matthew Sufi 13th for Flemish ahead of Tyler Manning and Hendrik de Grave just beating Bart Daleman across the line. Darnberg is 17th, and the unfortunate retirees from this one were Callum Puddicombe, Øystein Herfjord and Jakub Szymanski did not take to the grid. So they're shooing the drivers over for an interview, so we can hopefully have a chat with some of them. Hello. But we will have a look back at what was an amazing race, actually. Really, really good fun. I wonder if... Ah, yeah, it does change the blimp speed, actually. But you can see the whole field there getting away from the line. Massive crowds here at Monza for this race this evening, which has been wonderful to see. There are a couple of drivers just didn't get away from the grid very well there. I think one of the altitude cars at the back, I think it might have been Callum Puddicombe, didn't quite get the run. It was a really, really tough debut... Well, I was going to say weekend, but debut race meeting for him. It's a wonderful shot, isn't it? It's a great place, Monza. If you've never been, I really urge you to go. I was lucky enough to be commentating there last year with Clio Cup. I got the pleasure of standing on the podium while the Italian GT Championship race started with all the GT3 cars. It is on one of my vlogs, actually. If you want to have a look back through my channel, it's a 2-part vlog that I did of my trip out there with my good mate Chris McCarthy. The only thing about Monza is, though, that all the buildings and all the sort of facilities, everything seems to be really rusty. It's really old school, but still, its character, I think, is what we call it. But still, it is what it is when you go to a place like that. You know, there's so much history and everything there. It's great place to see. So, we're going to start our interviews and have a chat with the man that finished 14th in that race, but he still gained 4 positions on his way there. We spoke to him last time out, and we'll see what the development's like. Tyler Manning, good to see you, Tyler. You must be pretty pleased with tonight. You know, you said you were learning the car and getting used to how it all runs, and this time seemed like a bit of an improvement.
Oh, yeah, it was a way better improvement. All through practice and testing. Had a great positive signal that we were going to do well. And just got unlucky in the first race. And then just try to do the best, not give up. And then second race, we did fine. Got into points, and that's all that matters now.
Well, that's it. We just saw in slow motion there as well. You had to sort of wait for a bus to come around the corner with the chaos going on in front of you. But you know, you all avoided it, and it was very clean at the start of the race, considering the massive checkup. In a situation like that, it's just about keeping a level head, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I actually didn't expect that to happen. So when it did, I was just ready, prepared, because all throughout my brother's been telling me, you better watch out. He was right.
Indeed. Well, it was still it's an interesting evening around Monza, because it's a bit of a scary place, isn't it, to be honest with you? It's not the easiest place to get right when you're in a big pack with these guys, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. It's so scary to be with all of them, and had a bit of a moment with Mark, and that was fun. And other drivers, it was just a hell of a blast, and I'm having fun. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, man, definitely, and it's good to know that you are still having fun with it as well. And you know, it seems like a good, fun championship to be a part of, because everyone seems to get on pretty well. It's competitive, but the grid isn't like a ridiculous size, so you don't get lost in, you know, finishing like 38th like I used to. It's a decent sized grid. Obviously, next time out, it's going to be even more tricky, to say the least, as the championship moves on. Are you excited for the next round?
Yeah, Nürburgring is going to be pretty awesome. I haven't done a lot of running around there, so I hope I do well.
Well, it's going to be a windy one, and I know that there's a number of drivers that hate that place. I in particular hate the first section. I really hate the first section. I think it's horrendous. But you know, cars like this, they can be a lot of fun to wrangle around there, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. Especially around here when you hit those curbs. Oh, it just feels amazing.
Yeah, when you absolutely batter a curb, but it doesn't harm the momentum of the car, it's a joy. Great to speak to you again, though, buddy. It's been really, really nice to have a chat with you. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
I want to shout out to the team, all the sponsors, 3D Rev, Grizzly, and to my teammate Dan. He's been a great sport, and to our spotter Mark. He was encouraging.
Beautiful stuff. Well, great to speak to you as ever, Tyler. Well done on the continuous improvement, mate. And we look forward to seeing you at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Meet you there.
Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go then, Canadian Tyler Manning. Like I say, just really enjoying himself out there in the championship, just developing with the car and getting some experience under his belt. Now, a driver that I've not spoken to in a really, really long time, actually, is Kim Behate from Flemish Sim Sports by Viraco Yellow. Kim, you were right in the thick of it pretty much tonight. You always had battles going on around you, and then it sort of died down in the second race. How are you feeling now?
Feeling really sweaty.
I'm not surprised, because this circuit, while a lot of people say, oh, it's just driving in a straight line and then a chicane every so often, it's a lot more than that, isn't it, around Monza?
Yeah, it is. Especially in this car, I believe it's quite new to me. I'm starting to get to know it, get that brake feeling in. So still a lot to learn, but to me it felt quite great on Monza. Last round at Hockenheim, it didn't quite suit my driving style, but yeah, I had fun tonight.
And what's it like learning a car like this? Because it's a bit of a nightmare sometimes on the power, other times it wants to kill you on the brakes. What have you found most difficult about it?
Both, I believe. In the first race, it killed me on the power. The Thunderfoot was a bit too much, so that was a pity. But then it's especially learning the braking and the braking points. I think it's the hardest. Also, it's a fixed setup. It's the same for everyone, but you can't set the car up to your liking, so you have to adapt, and it's interesting.
Yeah, interesting is definitely the word, I think. It's the only broadcastable word for what this car's like. But, it looks good, it sounds good, and the racing it produces is fantastic, isn't it? Especially with a fixed setup.
Yeah, it's really tight. And if you can get some tight racing like this, where you get enough respect from the other drivers, it's really fun racing. Enjoyed it.
And Nürburgring next time out, is it a circuit you're a fan of?
Yeah, but never driven it in this car also, so I'll have a lot to learn. We'll have to see what it brings.
Well, we hope it goes well for you, Kim. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, the teammates for the company this evening, especially, and then our sponsor Firaco for the support we're getting from them the entire year.
Beautiful stuff. Well, great to speak to you as ever, Kim. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you at the Nürburgring.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers. There we go. Kim Bahate there, just having a quick chat, saying about learning the car as well, and that's so important in a car like this, that you can get behind the wheel and learn it. Someone that learnt the hard way tonight, I think it's safe to say, is my good mate Mark Fletcher. Mark, that was not the start you wanted to your evening, and then the second race, it didn't get much better. It must have been a bit of a tough pill to swallow, that.
Oh mate, what a start! I lost by the time I got to the first corner. I was down 10 places.
Well,
I was like, this is fantastic.
Well, there's surely a prize for that. Most places lost before turn one. You just got to...
I just dumped the clutch. I had it on the paddle. I dumped the clutch, and then it just the whole world just fell apart. And I was like, I'm going to be a big accident.
It was an interesting sort of 3-stage start, because it bogged down like mad, and then all of a sudden it booted the rears up and then dug them into the floor, started spinning up. It looked like it was all right, and then it didn't seem to change up a gear, or when it did, it spun them up again. What was happening in the sort of second phase of it?
Well, mate, I think my head just exploded. I've got no idea. I think I went from first to sixth very, very quickly. But it was a mega race. You knew it was going to happen, and it was just so important to get back to that main group.
Well, that was it. I mean, the groups here were especially the main point. It was once the field had spread out. I mean, like you saw in the second part of the end of the second race. Once you didn't have anybody to slipstream off, and you were the car at the front of the pack, it was hard to move forward, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was looking at Dadswell, and he was sort of 6.5 seconds in front. I was like, I'm not going to get any better than 7th here. But it was one of them. Car spun in front of me. I watched it back. There wasn't really anywhere else I could go. It was just one of those nights. But that's what makes the championship, doesn't it? You got to take the rough with the smooth, I'm afraid.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, speaking of, what I would consider the rough is the fact that we go to Nürburgring next. Is it a track you like?
Yeah, I prefer it to Monza. I was a little bit worried coming to Monza, because no matter how fast you are, if you can stay in that draft, you'll get pulled along. So yeah, some great racing. Again, some fantastic results for the team. 2, 3, 4 in the first race, and then another good points haul, we'll say.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, that's what happens with a championship. You have to keep scoring those points. But we hope it's maybe not so much rough to go with the smooth next time round at the Nürburgring, mate. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, especially thanks. It's going to sound really weird. Pablo just raided my stream with 200 viewers, so thank you very much for that. Much appreciated.
What a guy!
And then what a guy! And then all of our sponsors: Ace Tech, Sim Sport, Bream, Sim Stickers, Sim Racing Studio, and mate, thank you very much for broadcasting it. I'm sure it's going to be a cracking watch.
Thank you very much, Mark. Always a pleasure, mate. I love a good chinwag in a commentary box, but hopefully we'll see you doing well at Nürburgring, mate. And until then, I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, cheers, Chaz. Speak to you soon.
Lovely stuff. It's always good speaking to Mark. I try and remain unbiased, but isn't he a lovely guy? Anyway, it was a fantastic night to be Renzo Eulenbroek. Not quite sure what's going to happen regarding the contact that we saw in that second race, but no matter what, it was still a very, very exciting night of racing. That first race was incredible. A good result for GTE Racing by Red Ant in the second race, and yet more points go the way of Altitude Esports and Lewis Ward of Apex Racing Academy. But that's all for tonight, folks. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. I certainly have, and we will catch you in 2 weeks' time when we go for round 5 at the Nürburgring. But until then, then, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car. Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.